Greetings again and welcome to the Mayor's Brief. As always, I'm not the mayor. Current Mayor ProTem TJ Walker, City Council Member Ward 4, and so glad to have my colleague Councilman Daughtridge, Ward 5, with us today. Always good to have you.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate it. Good to be here and look forward to going over last night's meeting, both the Committee of the Whole and City Council meeting.
Definitely. Committee of the Whole was pushed back to 5:30. Most of the time we started either 4 or 5 p.m., depending on the length of that agenda. We had a 3-item agenda, starting with our Chief of Police, Chief Robert Hassel, who I must say has been doing a tremendous job since he's been hired. Him and his staff and his team, I believe they're doing great work. And the report, that he presented did show a decrease in crime and some conversation around sort of the stereotype of crime increasing during the summer months, and that was kind of interesting to hear because all of my life I've heard that as well.
Right.
Crime spikes during violent crime spiking during the summer months, but he did indeed do a great report, and him and his team are doing a great job. I don't know if you had anything you want to elaborate on in the study.
No, I think, I don't think we have a tremendous amount to talk about, but, crime is certainly something that most people are concerned with in any city. Rocky Mount is no exception. Overall, according to what we presented, second quarter, we're down overall 5% in crime, which is good. And violent crime from quarter one to quarter two is down 9%, and property crimes are down 4%, if I read this correctly. So, that's good when you have crimes that are down. Now, within violent crimes and within property crimes, you have certain areas that are up, but really the proof in the pudding to look at the impact that's going on with crime is looking at a year, although a quarter is better than month to month because things can, just the slightest bit of increase or decrease, I think skews the numbers, but it's going in the right direction. And like you, I applaud Chief Hassel and his staff. The one thing that I was excited to hear about towards the end of his presentation, he came back talking about an 8-person task force that he has that's concentrating in the area of where ShotSpotter is. And I think, I forgot how many ShotSpotters we have. Do we have 3 or 4?
It may be 4 in the city currently.
Yeah. So that and I didn't write down, I don't know if you did, but what the impact that they've had in just this short term that I thought was pretty significant, because they've made some arrests, which is good. And crime, and due to those arrests, crime has decreased dramatically in that particular area.
Most definitely, and it's always good. We can never sort of out police our situations, and we can never police ourselves out of situations. But it does the city a great toll to have that police presence, and to be able to have officers on the street, and to have officers in areas where there are high crime and targeted crime areas, and areas that ShotSpotter picks up on fairly recently. So utilizing our technology and all of our resources is something I believe under Chief Hassel's tenure we've improved on as a city. Seeing our homicides drop 67% from Q1 to Q2, that was just a large number to see that, but it's great to know, and it's good to know, and to be able to really offset that narrative that, hey, when it's hot, crime spikes, knock on wood. But we've been fortunate and blessed enough in our city so far where crime has decreased.
Right. And flipping through here while you were talking, Councilman, going to the Rocky Mount Police Co-Responder Mental Health Program, I think it's interesting to note a lot of the calls that we have are related to mental health, mental illness, and officers responded 339 times in the second quarter regarding mental health, and they had transport. So 339 of the calls that were received were due to that. And unfortunately, we had some overdose. But a lot of these ills of society, so to speak, such as drugs and I'll recant what I just said. It's not really ills of society. Mental illness everybody's touched by mental illness.
Yeah.
Every family, every organization is touched by it. So, that's just, we need to spend more on mental illness, and that's beyond what the city really can do. But we are focusing on that, and I think we have some partnerships within so that our officers can rely on. And so I applaud that. But it just goes to show that a lot of the crime is kind of due to some issues that are going on with people. So
That's it. And I mean, we all need to make sure that we are monitoring our mental health. If you live long enough, all of us will suffer from some form of mental illness. It's just the severity of it that others may have, that some of us don't. But I'm glad the chief has, this task force in place, and he's even having some different officers in place amongst his department to help deal and cope with some of our mental health situations and crime and calls that they receive. And so I think we're ahead of it and doing a great job as a department and as a city.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know if you recall back in, I think it was in 2020, soon after you and I were first elected on the city council. I think it might have been our first budget, but I think we included about $50,000, which is not much money, towards that effort within the police department. And we can always put more in there because, you'll never have enough with that. So we are trying to be proactive. And so I applaud you and the rest of the council, I would include myself in that for making those strides, because we do need to do that.
Most definitely. Moving on to the second agenda item of committee of the whole was our boards. Were you finished? Go right ahead.
I think statistics are interesting. And during his report, he also mentions calls for service. Just in the second quarter, which is April to end of June, or June 25th, they had almost 25,000 calls, but year to date of 50,000 calls. That's a lot of calls that we've had. And traffic accidents for the year are right at 1,000, and property damage is approaching about 5 million. And then they've done close to 3,800 traffic stops. So our police force, they're being proactive and they're being reactive in the same, because you're not going to get pulled over unless you're going a little excessive speed or doing something else. So I applaud our police department, because those numbers are just staggering. 50,000 calls in just half a year is amazing.
That's it.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I like stats, and it's just interesting. It just shows how much they work and impact. In the fire department, by the way, they go to a lot of calls, because our fire department, they're the first ones usually on scene when EMT is called. So
definitely. And you're not rushing the point at all. Looking at the community involvement of the staff, and that really makes the difference, having that community relation and building that trust between department and community and showing a working relationship. To see all the community involvement, I mean, almost every ward, different events, different type of activities, and things that are hosted by the police department, and also things that are hosted just in communities. Seeing them show up, be there, be present, and building those relationships, it takes community relationship and partnership with law enforcement a long way.
Right.
All right, we're good to move on now?
Sure.
Item 2 is no problem. Look, that's the purpose of the mayor's brief. We want to do that debriefing. Boards, commissions, and committees discussion. Our city clerk led this, Kim Batts. She's responsible for all that information, keeping us abreast and making sure we're fulfilling our board. Still a lot of vacancies. I think I may have 3 vacancies that I've had over 4 years. It's just difficult to find people that want to serve in some of the boards. And I think that's due to some people just don't really understand maybe the importance or significance of some of the boards. Maybe it's not promoted enough. I'm not sure where the gap is, but it's very, very hard to find. I did find I had one constituent that stepped up to be on human relations, that will be stepping into a role that it would have been vacant because my lines were redistricted. So one individual I had is now moved out of the ward because of redistricting. And it was good to see that I had a constituent that said, hey, I want to get involved. I want to help. And it worked for me and for the ward and for the city because it's no longer vacant. So
Right.
I was glad to see that.
Well, I think it probably is more awareness. I think a lot of people don't realize the availability of and opportunities that they can give back to the community and have involvement in the community. And I would encourage anyone that is has a little bit of time. It doesn't take that much time,
Yeah.
and you learn a lot about the city, and you connect with the city, and you make new connections. So I strongly recommend anybody interested to get in touch with any city council member or the mayor, or even call the city clerk's office.
And most of the boards are maybe monthly, maybe once a month.
Right.
I think some are bi-monthly,
Right.
but I think for the most part, most of them may meet once a month.
Right.
And it's in an evening sort of, session and segment. And I think there may even still be a virtual option unless that's done now that COVID's over with. But
I'm unsure,
Okay.
Councilman. I'm unsure on that.
all in all, though, it was good to see we have some vacancies being filled, but we still do have some vacancies. And if you check the website, city's website, you can find all those vacancies for those of you that are listening that may have interest. Then to put the icing on the cake was Miss Loretta Braswell.
All right.
Almost 50 years with the city of Rocky Mount. And did she say 13 years with Citizens Academy? I forgot how many years she said. It was 13 or so.
It was significant.
Yeah, 13 or 15 years, I believe. She's been leading the Citizens Academy program with the city. And basically that program is a informative sort of educational of who's who and a how to and a what to do and a who to call and where to go and just the inner workings and logistics of the city. And so this last cohort had about 9 participants, I believe. Councilman Harris was one of the participants. So he was very excited about that and committee of the whole. But it's just a great program to me, one that I will continue to champion. I don't know if I'll ever be a part of it. They asked me last night. They tried to get me to sign up for the next cohort, but I told them, hey, it's in the middle of the campaign, and I don't know if I could do it. But
I think it's from September to November, and it's on Thursday evenings. Yeah. And I think a light meal is provided, and I'm not sure if it's it's more than likely a couple of hours.
2 hours. Yeah.
And so anyone interested, certainly get in touch with Ms. Braswell or one of us, and I think it's a good opportunity for people to learn more, even all the council members, even the council members we have that have served 20 years.
Yeah.
Until you've been in the department or talked to some of the folks, you really don't know exactly what goes on in each department. And it's better to have appreciation for what each department does when you have knowledge. And it's the same thing with people.
Yeah.
I mean, I've grown a great deal of respect for you. I had respect before, but now that we are on the council together and have the opportunity to spend a lot of time together, we formed a relationship along with some of the other council members, and it's a great opportunity. And the Citizens Academy is no different.
That's it. Well, I'm going to participate as soon as this campaign is over.
Because you want the shirt.
That's it. I wanted the T-shirt. I thought I was going to be able to get a freebie last night, but as they told me, this is an earned opportunity, and I don't have anything wrong with that. I'm fine with earning it. I've lived a life of earning everything every step of the way. So I'm looking forward to that. And Miss Loretta said she's going to try her best to get to year 50 with the city. So we want to keep her young and keep her vibrant and keep Citizens Academy rolling. But it was great just to have them with us last night at Committee of the Whole.
Right.
Moving on to our regular scheduled council meeting, which started at 7 p.m. We started it out, of course, as always, with a moment of silence for our prayer and the roll call and consideration of the minutes, moved through sort of the preliminary stuff. Mm-hmm. And we had updates from our city manager as always, and that was a funny moment there for a while as he kept sort of getting twisted up with the fire chief and police chief and just some play on words there for a moment. But that was a humorous moment we had to sort of kick our meeting off.
Right.
Then we moved to the petitions to be received from the public. And we've had, it's actually a new guy that came to try to change the narrative about racism that I'd never seen in the chambers. And so that was, and everyone else, I think they were sort of, common speakers that come down and, we always value the input. But we did have, that was, I think one, no, we had a couple new individuals that came out and spoke. One was about sickle cell awareness.
Right.
And the other was about the racism narrative. And so, but things pretty much were the same in public comment.
Right. I would concur with that.
Yes, sir. One of the public comments, I think it was the last, well, it may not have been the last one, but we had one of our employees come down about sanitation, sort of, held me to, accountability of my words in a couple meetings of making sure that our wages would be fair for sanitation, and that we would, and I still stand behind that, and still believe that our manager is going to do exactly what needs to be done to make sure that, as stated, the wages had changed for guys and women that come in that are fairly new to the department. There's a raise there, an increase there for starting salary for sanitation. So that was good to know. I think the issue was for some of the longevity guys and women that have been here. But again, the increase of 20 to 25%, that won't be the case, and I think that needs to be heard. It needs to be said. We can't allow that to happen. It's one of those ordeals where if you've been an employee here for the city 20 years, 25, that's not something we could just change overnight. It's financially just not responsible, puts us in a place where we can't do what we need to do financially as a city. And I hate that they would even promise that. But I did ensure that we would make sure that everything was fair and everything was livable wages, comfortable wages, and make sure that we're competitive across the state. That's what the pay and comp study did. So we'll be well.
Well, based on what I've seen, I think the bans are certainly there. And to your point, I think the concern really comes around compression. And City Manager Keith Rogers has committed himself to look at that, and he's asked for a year. And I think, coming in, we need to do that because, we're coming to the close of our 4-year term, and we've had several opportunities before that to have a study, and a study had not been conducted.
Yeah.
But it finally, we had one done at our request, and we're finally moving, because if you think about it, there were no wage increases. There were maybe some COLAs, and I think during COVID there might have been a one-time bump, temporary. So, but at least now we have this study to where we can catapult off of, and everything takes a while. Nothing moves overnight, and so I applaud the staff for coming. I mean, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
And everything, things can move and things can change. So I concur with you. So, but we went into our consent agenda. Most of our items were on consent agenda, and the first item on there was the $200,000 appropriation to the general fund for the Thelonious Monk Park Playground. So that's a considerable amount of money, and that's money well spent.
Yeah, and it's going to be a project that I believe Thelonious Monk, being a Rocky Mountain native, I believe that's going to be huge for just not only the area but nationally, internationally, as people are jazz connoisseurs.
Right.
They'll make Rocky Mount being a destination place just for this area. Then we had the 3-year lease agreement with Christy Hilliard for city-owned property downtown at 154 East Thomas Street. 3-year agreement there at $6,600 annual rent. And so it's good to know, new business and just people living downtown, being downtown. Right. That's what's really going to make downtown thrive. Right. Foot traffic, people downtown, people that want to eat, live, work, and play. That's really going to just grow and boost the economy of our downtown.
I agree with you.
Then lastly, in my ward, National Guard Armory, thank you to the support of all of Council and support of Boys and Girls Club and just the city in general. But the future of the National Guard Armory being a teen center for this city and for this region, I believe that's going to be transformative for the Little Raleigh community, for the city of Rocky Mount. But providing our teens, we lose a lot of our teens. We've got a lot for them. As they are infants, you've got daycare, then your adolescents, and you've got some after school stuff. But once you're a teen, you sort of get left by the wayside because people sort of look at you as being grown, but you're
Right.
you're still a child.
Yeah. Well, this is something, I don't know if many people know this, but I served on the Boys and Girls Club board for many years. And in fact, had the opportunity to serve on that board with former city manager Charles Penny. He was the president of the board and I was the treasurer at the time. And I recall going with Charles and we went to Atlanta to one of the Boys and Girls Club conventions, and they presented this thing about the teen center. And one of the great aspects of a teen center is, oftentimes teens don't want to be around younger kids. It's just hey, I'm grown now and I want a little more freedom and I don't want to be around these younger kids.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, I totally get it. And each of us have been there at some point. So I think that the Boys and Girls National had seen a drop off, and that's why they started having these teen centers. And I'm excited that we can do that in Rocky Mount. I agree with you. I think it'd be transformative. It'll attract more teens because we can put more programming. The Boys and Girls Club can, and so I'm excited about that area. My business is in your ward, and I'm a neighbor over there, and I'm looking forward to it. And I know Ron Green and his staff will do a great job, and they have a strong board. So I'm excited about the opportunity for Rocky Mount, what Boys and Girls Club is going to do for our community.
Definitely.
More so than they already do.
Yeah, that's it. And I believe we had a cancellation of our meeting in August, which will be the second Monday in August, because we'll be at the Electric Cities conference there in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I just want to thank you for serving on that Enkempa board. That was a nomination I made some 2-3 years ago, but I appreciate you for serving and your commitment to that.
Well, I appreciate it. Enkempa is important. And there's a lot of big things that are coming through right now that impact not only the city of Rocky Mount, but all the Enkempa members. So, we have to be vigilant in what we're doing. And I've had the opportunity to voice the opinion of Rocky Mount, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that. And I appreciate the city council entrusting me on that board.
Yes, sir. Then there was a 0.93 parcel of acreage looking to be rezoned from O1 to B4, again, in the downtown area. The request was made here for us to adopt the ordinance and look at some of the actual notes and recommendations of the planning board. And I believe that there's a lot of conversation around planning board communication and rezoning. And as the city grows, we're going to see more of it. Right.
Well, we have a, as you well know, I served many years on the planning board, and many of the folks are still serving. And that's one of our most active boards that we have is the planning board. And they do a great job. And I know everyone on that board's diligent. The chair of that board is Matt Sperati, and he does a really good job. And so, but yeah, we approved that one. It was unanimous on that. And then it came up about, there was some question about some rezoning that was supposed to happen. It was in the previous meeting, and it was that was over in the western part of the city on Bethlehem Road. And we were informed by Joseph Bocook that I think that had been removed by the applicant.
Yeah.
So, it may come back up. We don't know. And but there were some people there with concerns around that. And I think one thing about this city council, each one of us, regardless of which ward it is, we do take in consideration the concerns of the public when it comes around that. There's been many times that we've even tabled stuff or requested more information. So
and denied
and denied it. Yeah. But one thing that we that we're there for, growth is how Rocky Mount is going to just that growth.
Yeah.
And so no one wants change. Is difficult. Change is not easy, and especially when you're accustomed to living where something might not be next to you. I know I am, and you probably are as well.
Yeah.
So that's where when you disturb someone's comfort in life, that that's a difficult thing. But we have to make tough decisions sometimes, whether it's for or against something. So.
That's it. Well, Councilman Daughtridge, that wraps up our segment today of Mayor's Brief. I thank you, as always, for being here. And for all of our listeners, continue to just stay engaged in the city. Continue to bring to us your concerns, because if we don't hear about them, or if we don't see them with our own natural eyes, we won't know. And we value every citizen's input. We value your concerns. And that's why we're here. That's why we're elected to do. And it's been a privilege serving with you, and an honor. And I thank you for just being here today for the Mayor's Brief.
All right. Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate it. And likewise.
Yes, sir.